Hello, this is the Crone Zone, and I'm Lynn. And I want to give a very warm welcome to new friends who've joined our group recently, and also to old friends who've been supporting, inspiring, and with me for quite some time now. You're very much appreciated. This is the video for the new moon in Aquarius happening on the 29th of January at 12:35 midday in the UK, and obviously much earlier in the morning if you're in the US, and later in the day if you're further east than here. This new moon in Aquarius really does seem like the dawning of our future. And I know that 2025 has started off very packed with events and also with trials and tribulations for many people across all different areas of the world. It's not been the easiest of starts to a year. And yet I see great hope and balance for the way forward in this new moon. Pluto fully entered the sign of Aquarius back in 2024, and we can see this new moon very much as the start of this new age. At the new moon, we are in the dark of the moon. It's a time rather of going inwards, of reflection, of planning, of seeding into the future. And what I feel here at this moon is we're at a moment's pause. We're pausing because at the moment, Uranus, which obviously rules this new moon as the ruler of Aquarius, is in Taurus and stationed retrograde. Sorry, it's retrograde in Taurus. But the day after the new moon, on the 30th, it will station direct and then be direct for some time, but then begin its journey into Gemini. That is going to be an entire game changer. At the moment, Uranus to some degree is withheld in Taurus, is a little held back there. Things are slowed down. Once Uranus gets into Gemini, we're going to race ahead with everything. So, what we're being offered here in this chart at this new moon is this moment's pause, and it's pause for very important reason too. Now, interestingly, looking at this chart, there's a lineup of planets in air, 7 planets in air, and water. I think there are 5 significant points and planets in water. So we're between those two elements. Those really are the focus at this point. And we can see that really as being poised between the faculties of thinking and those of feeling. That's very much the dichotomy here, the split here between those two elements, and importantly so. Now, we have Pluto close to Mercury and the Moon and the Sun, all in Aquarius. And Pluto, we know, is the great drive of evolution, and he's driving here the inevitable progress, or we hope it's progress, don't we? The inevitable push to evolve, to go forward, to change. And this is affecting Mercury is in Aquarius. Mercury's happy there. It's an air sign and it's happy there. The moon is in Aquarius and the sun. And we also have at 17 degrees of Aquarius, both the sun and the moon are at 9, at 17 degrees. So sort of in a wide conjunction, we have Chariklo. And she's very important. I want to come back to Chariklo and speak a little about that in a moment or two. Of course, we can see the polarity of air and water also as representing the feminine energies with water and the masculine energy with air. And a call here to balance those out. I think that's very much the case. So let's have a look then at what we have in water. So close to the North Node, which is at 29 degrees of Pisces, we have Neptune, ruler of Pisces, at 27 degrees. We have Venus at 25 degrees of Pisces, and we have Saturn at 17 degrees of Pisces. So, quite a build up there, all conjunct each other in succession, if you like, headed towards the North Node. And the North Node is our spiritual direction. So we're getting that push from Pluto over in Aquarius to evolve. But here, the direction that we should evolve in is being targeted, highlighted for us by this lineup of Saturn, Venus, Neptune, right onto the North Node. So we're being guided as to the way to go. And we're being offered, as I've said, a pause in time. We press pause on the player. We have these moments to get things right. And I think it's very important that we do. So, Pluto, Mercury, our thinking, the moon, and the sun in Aquarius are all futuristic. This is all looking to the future. It's about the role of science, the role of AI, the way things will evolve, cosmic connections, intergalactic connections, amazing discoveries, amazing things and ways forward that it's hard for us even to imagine at the moment. But with Aquarius, there is also the danger of detachment. There's the danger of a certain kind of coldness there that's possible. The downside, all signs have their downside. And that's something to be guarding against. I've said before, we're looking at head and heart. Now, Aquarius is very much higher mind, so very much head. It's universal mind in many ways, and tuning into that. But there's a great need to balance it with the heart. And this is where our planets and North Node in Pisces come in. Because Venus, who's been in cahoots with Saturn for a while, making serious, long lasting choices and values, is right by Neptune, which is the higher octave of Venus, calling Venus to the highest kind of love, the most profound spiritual of loves. And Neptune itself right on the North Node. So, this is that connection, that oneness, the link to spirit, the link to what is transcendent, the soul, the spirit, all of those things that we are being guided to take on board here, to embrace here, to balance those very masculine energies with these feminine yin energies, taking us forward through that North Node. I've mentioned Chariklo, who I'll be expanding on in a moment or two, but there are other feminine goddess type energies here, as well as the moon and Venus. So we have Juno. Juno at 26 degrees of Scorpio. She's very much to do with relationship, with relating, with yes, relationships of all sorts, really, but particularly those of close partnership. There is Eris, the goddess of discord. She is in Aries at the moment, at 24 degrees of Aries. Black Moon Lilith, is at 23 degrees of Libra. And of course, we have Chariklo, I already mentioned, in Aquarius. So we have quite a lot of the asteroid goddesses and centaurs helping tuning in here. Um, and Neptune itself is spearheading a grand trine in water. So again, we're in this realm of thinking, of relating, and that is between Juno in Scorpio, I've already mentioned, Mars in Cancer, where Mars is very much the protector of those more tender home values, and obviously Neptune itself, which is that call to higher compassion and higher love. So, a beautiful water trine there. And let me say a little bit about Chariklo. At the moment, Chariklo is traveling somewhat ahead of Pluto, but they're kind of moving together. And our new moon and Mercury are between the two of them. So Chariklo is the largest of the centaurs, and it orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus. So, between that part of the solar system, we can actually see Saturn, and the part we can't see without telescopes, anyway, Uranus. So, it's between the known and the unknown, something of a bridge. And remember, it's very significant that it orbits between Saturn and Uranus because Uranus is the ruler of this chart and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Now, Chariklo was the wife of Chiron, our wounded healer. And she, if you like, was the healer of the healers at Chariklo, able to hold a space for healing. And that is what she's doing for us right now in Aquarius. She's assisting us in this pause that I've talked about, holding this space for us in what potentially is a challenging and mind-blowing series of changes that we are encountering and will be encountering. So she is there in role of supporter, the one who holds the healing space, that very feminine energy there in this very masculine sphere. So good to know that she is there. So the water emphasis, there's a lot of the emphasis that we're seeing here is about relating, is about emotions. And this is a theme that's further picked up by Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Libra. Now, Black Moon Lilith can be those parts of ourselves that are suppressed, hurt, harmed. We know that Lilith originally was first wife of Adam, and she refused to be less than, and therefore was cast out and demonized. But she's here in Libra, which looking the sign of relationships, and in Libra, Black Moon Lilith is associated with the goddess Mayat in Egyptology. So she is the goddess of justice, the goddess of balance. It is Ma'at who weighs the heart of the deceased against a feather, to see which is the heaviest and will you go on to an afterlife. So, very much this goddess of truth and balance in relationship in Libra. And she is opposite Eris, goddess of discord, or who is in Aries. Now, Eris is, it is often associated with disruption, with rebellion, with things erupting onto the streets, with anger, especially in Aries. You're getting a bit of a double whammy here. So it's perfectly possible that this very angry energy is going to be acting out and wanting redress there. But because she is opposite Black Moon Lilith in Libra, with this notion of relationship and right relationship and justice, it's very important that this kicking off, if you like, doesn't get out of bounds and transgress what is fair and just. There is a call here for a recognition of right relationship and balance. So that is also in the mix. Chiron is also right with Eris in Aries, and that's this sense of wounding and maybe sense of outrage that may be felt there. So perhaps it is helpful that Mars, ruler of Aries, at the moment is in Cancer, where it is, if you like, softened to some degree. I think this new moon gives us essential lessons in integration and the opportunity to integrate, as crucially, absolutely crucial that we do, before we move forward. We cannot move forward with disconnection of the head without taking the heart, the soul, the spirit with us. Those very important feeling elements and intuitive elements that must go forward as well. I'd like to just talk about the upcoming energies, because by 2026, in 2026, most of the planets will have moved into air and fire and out of water and earth. They'll be dipping in actually during 2025. So we'll be getting a taste of these things. Now, all elements are dangerous, of course. In their most unbridled form, they're all dangerous and powerful, we're weak in the face of them. But I want us to consider for a moment the elements of fire and air. Fire, passion, inspiration, fast moving, dynamic energy. And air, again, even faster. And if we look at the way these two elements work together, fire and air fans fire. Now, we have seen this to the most devastating and heartbreaking effect in the recent fires in Los Angeles, where fire fanned by air, by the wind, raged out of control. An horrific situation, and my heart goes out to people in LA. And I hope that you will rebuild your beautiful city from the ashes. I'm sure you will. But that's not to minimize the heartbreaking destruction that's happened. If we can just think about that for a moment as the destructive side of fire and air, we can see how enormously important it is to balance this with the element of water and earth, with the feminine energies. We need to go forward in balance and not out of kilter, which could be a very destructive future for us if all things are not held as they should be in an equilibrium. So, as we know, new moons as the dark of the moon, and we don't see the moon for 2 or 3 days. So this moon will be visible by the 1st of February, and the 1st of February is when we have our final Venus moon gate. And this is a really sublime meeting of these two, really very, very magical. The ancient Egyptians didn't begin working with the power of the new moon until it was visible, actually visible in the sky. And at that point, they began their magical practices and work of wishing on the new moon and seeding those things that they wished to happen. And I think in some ways it would be the same for us, that the full hope, that a really divine intervention, I think, happens at the Venus, this final meeting at the crown chakra of the Venus moon gate on the 1st of February. I will be posting a video for that in a few days' time. Now, I can't help but notice that back in August, when we had the Aquarius full moon, that was the first of the Venus moon gates. That was the root chakra. And now we've had the new moon in Aquarius, and just a couple of days before we reach the crown chakra and the last of the moon gates. So this whole cycle seems to be working together, and I really do believe that there are further resolutions for the debates and issues of this moon that we will see at the beautiful Venus moon gate. I know Venus has been so beautiful and so visible in the winter skies in the Northern Hemisphere. Just amazing to see. And also, we have had the lineup of planets. Now, this isn't as unusual as people have been saying it is. It's just a matter that the planets move on the ecliptic around the sun, and there often are times when they can be lined up, or not so much lined up as appear together in the sky. No less wonderful, though, because we're able to see them. And there is something awe-inspiring and very intimate about looking at the planets and at the stars. I think we can take inspiration from that. Actually, a word that comes from the stars, doesn't it? This whole notion of inspiring. So I will leave you with that, and I hope that you will join me for the final Venus moon gate. I think there are some beautiful things there that I'd like to share with you, in particular with Chiron, with healing, with all sorts of issues. So lovely if you could join me for that. But thank you very much if you stuck with me through this one this far, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.